You just press play on the Last Breath Huntcast, home of the Huntroversy. We're here to entertain, educate, and engage. And in case you didn't know, you only live once. But if you do it right, once is enough. Don't waste it. Good morning and welcome to episode number 81 of the Last Breath Huntcast, home of the Huntroversy. Coming to you live every single Monday morning, all 2021 long at 6 a.m. Tonight I'm here with Jesse, and we're going to be covering a very, very controversial topic. You ready, Jesse?
Let's do it.
All right, so just a couple of announcements before we get into the Huntroversy here. If you guys would like to watch this video cast on YouTube, you can go and search up Last Breath TV on YouTube and view it there. We've got a ton of great content on our YouTube channel. I don't know what's my favorite piece of content that we have on there, but we've got over 35 buck hunts, 50 turkey hunts, hand fishing, bear hunting, mule deer hunting, coyotes, you name it. It's up there, and we think that you guys are going to really like it once you go and kind of poke around on there and find all the stuff that we have and kick out on a daily basis. So last announcement before we get rolling, our partner podcast, the Whitetail Legacy podcast, that's available every single Wednesday at 11 a.m. And here we go. Let's get into it. The Huntroversy. You want to explain what a Huntroversy is for anybody that could be a new listener?
So basically, a Huntroversy is a controversial topic around hunting or the hunting industry or something along those lines. Today, we're talking about social media and the aspect and the camaraderie around that. Is it good or bad?
Sure. And a Huntroversy typically doesn't have a right or wrong answer, but it's a really hot button issue that we like to cover on our podcast here. Again, this is the home of the Huntroversy. That's kind of our calling card. And those are the episodes that everybody still gets really engaged with and really enjoys, and we get a lot of good feedback on them. We do our best to cover both sides equitably and provide research and things that we found that kind of back up either side, and try not to just give a one-sided argument for anything. For example, our first Huntroversy we have ever done was baiting, and there are definite benefits and drawbacks to baiting. I think if we could bait in our state, I probably would do it. There's definite deer herd health benefits to it. Whether or not you're ethically okay with sitting over a pile of bait and shooting a deer, that's totally up to you, but those are some examples of some things. Some of the other notable ones that we've done on here are eating everything you kill. The Boone & Crockett recently outlawing cell cameras for entry. Who are the best hunting neighbors you could have? Very experienced or very novice. Patience versus being opportunistic. Best time to manage a doe herd, doe numbers. Ethics of a trophy photo. And the list goes on. And last week, we did a killer Huntroversy with Sean Luchtel from Heartland Bowhunter about one of the most controversial pieces of gear in the hunting industry, and that is the Garmin Xero range-finding bow sight. So if you want to listen to that episode, that is last week, and that is episode number 80. So like Jesse said, this is episode number 81, and we are going to get into, is social media good for camaraderie amongst hunters? What are your initial thoughts, Jesse?
Again, like we said, there's not a right or wrong answer, so it just depends on how you view it. It can be good.
What's your gut reaction?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't, because there's so many negative people out there, and it's changed the way hunting is because you've got these new hunters coming in that aren't experienced at all and really, didn't grew up in social media. When we started hunting, or the generations before us didn't have all that social media, so we didn't see everybody shooting these giant deer or mature deer even.
Yep.
So we went out there and shot, my first buck was a basket rack 8-pointer, and does before that, and you've got these people out there that haven't shot hardly anything, that are out there trying to shoot 5 and 6 year old bucks and getting their freaking ass whipped when they should be out there shooting 6-pointer, 8-pointer, working their way up.
Sure. So your initial thoughts are that they are more towards the negative side. Now let me push you a little bit on that issue. Do you believe, and we're going to go into this way more in detail as this podcast evolves, but don't you believe that it's kind of that adage that a small portion of people ruin it for the greater majority. Do you think that there are a number of hunters that are truly like opinionated, not very good sports, not very tempted by the thought of like camaraderie and the greater good? Or do you think it's just a few bad apples that just kind of piss in everybody's Cheerios that give hunting a really big black eye on social media? What are your thoughts on that?
I think there's a few bad apples. I mean, you can go basically on any Facebook post that has a large following, like we just talked about, Sean Lockdill and Heartland Bowhunter. You could probably scroll through because they have hundreds of comments on their, pictures or whatever. And if they shoot a small deer, somebody's going to say you should have let it go another year, or, I wouldn't have shot that one. Well, they already did. So why not just tell them congratulations and get on your way? Or if you don't like it, just scroll right past it.
Yeah.
So we should, as a hunting community, 95% of people out there don't hunt or don't understand hunting. So why can't the 5% of us get together and try to get the other 95 involved instead of tearing each other down and tearing each other apart?
Okay, so your initial reaction is kind of towards the no, but let's cover the good first. So the good. What is your favorite aspect of social media and how it plays out in hunting and what it does for hunters? What is your number one favorite thing?
I'm sorry. I think just like getting to know other people. Like some of my best friends that I talk to every day, I've never met before. Jacob Latimer, for example. I talk to him every day, multiple times a day. I've never even met him.
Yep.
But I've met him through Last Breath and hunting and all that kind of stuff.
Really great guy, by the way.
Super good dude.
So you're talking more so about the initial connection. It gives us people to talk about it. It kind of provides a common ground for people to say, hey, this is a thing that we have alike in common that we're both really, really intense about. Let's talk about it. And then your kind of relationship evolves and
sure. I mean,
goes through there.
There's plenty more people out there that, how many people have we met just from, doing this that are some of our, best friends? We've met each other through hunting.
Yep.
Cody, homie, all of the guys, Matt and I, you and Garrett, or, you went to high school together, but your commonalities are the same. You do the same things. Boom.
Sure. I got to know this. Who's your favorite, big high profile? Your TV celebrity, your favorite podcast host, your favorite outdoor photographer, your favorite outdoor writer. Who is that for you? Your number one high profile person that you always check in on daily on their social accounts. Don't care if it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or the like, but who is that for you?
Jeff Lindsay. Dude, I have a freaking man crush on that guy.
Jeff Lindsay?
Always have.
Why do you like Jeff Lindsay so much?
I think just because he brings fun to hunting, and he's always joking around, and if you follow the Lindsay way or, Jeff personally, hashtag snacks for racks. Dude takes anything out there and they get it done on giant whitetails. The quality of film is, top notch. I love what they do. They do something similar to what we do with the everyday or the every once a week not podcast, but the films. And they show their stuff, and they're always out there joking around, having a good time, and they're bringing, good things to the hunting like everybody else should. So that's my dude. What about you?
I think my favorite high profile guy that I pretty much routinely check in on are Michael Hunzucker, just because I feel like he's, regardless of the amount of time he can hunt, that's kind of what differs him from me. But he's very in line with what I am trending towards and what I would like to, not trending towards number of kills or anything like that. Like I would like to most correlate what I'm trying to do from a management standpoint of whitetails. Like they hunt smaller farms in Missouri. Most of them are on permission. They own a piece of ground, I believe, and that's what I would like to do. I would like to, in the future, own one, maybe two pieces of ground, like most people would, hunt on permission, hunt via lease, and kill a couple good whitetails in my home state every year. It doesn't have to be anything giant. It's just something that's 5 or plus years old would be great with me, and that's kind of in line with what I want to become and evolve into. So I am most closely dialed in with what he's doing on a daily basis, and I think that the way that Heartland Bowhunter portrays outdoor media is just so palatable to people. You know, there's shows out there that I feel do a great job at providing like the hunting camp camaraderie and stuff like that, and I like those shows as well. Bone Collector comes to mind when I think of that, but I really like the backstory that Heartland Bowhunter weaves into their episodes, and just the cinematography is just top notch, and I feel like they do a lot for the hunting community.
Sure.
A lot of give back, a lot of things like that, and I'm just big fans. So my pick would be Michael Hunzucker. My other pick, my high profile guy, I really like this photographer called Chris Hood.
Yep.
Chris Hood's one of my favorite outdoor photographers, if not my number one favorite outdoor photographer. He does a lot of work for Predator Camo. He does a lot of work with Matthews Archery and things like that, so he'd be my second pick. How about somebody on the underground? Who's somebody on the underground on social media that you're like, man, I would recommend to follow that person? Somebody that's maybe not necessarily the most well-known, but you really find a lot of value in following them.
There's so many. I can't even really drop a name right now because just nothing's coming to mind. But I know that I follow, quite a few of those kind of people on my Instagram or whatever, and I check in daily, but I can't think of like one off the top of my head. Oh, nope, not coming to mind.
Sure.
I could scroll through my phone and look.
Gotcha. I think my favorite is Emily Shad.
I just started following her yesterday.
I really like her a lot. She got it done on an absolute giant whitetail this year. She's killed several big deer in the last 4 or 5 years. She's fairly similar in age. I'm 27. She's 28. I listened to her on the Working Class Bowhunter podcast, as well as there was another podcast that I listened to her on, and I just really enjoy every single thing about what she brings to hunting. And she seems to be just a really good person. She's becoming a very, very good photographer, so I like watching that. And she just seems like a really down-to-earth girl. I think she's from Ohio or Pennsylvania, maybe somewhere out there to the east. And I just like following along with her. So that'd be my favorite number one go-to on the underground.
Josh Profit.
Josh Profit.
Dude
BG Bowhunter,
dude's
right?
a savage. He's getting after it. He's a super good guy. The Whitetail Legacy guys are good friends with him. Had him on a couple times. He gets after it. He hunts a little different than we do. He doesn't, hunts more public land. This year I think he hunted some private ground, and but he's a guy I follow a lot that just gets after it.
Sure. Okay, that kind of gets us over, our favorite people that we like to follow. And now let's talk about the good. So the first thing I have jotted down here is that it connects people. And you kind of brought that up. It connected you and Jacob. It's connected my friend Pete Gentry and Garrett and I. It's connected Mike Lemansky with us via, the Whitetail Legacy guys. Wouldn't have met him without social media, without him finding the Whitetail Legacy guys. So I really like social media for that.
It's just taken us so many different places. I mean,
Yep.
I mean, Shane Jones. We've gone to ATA
Shane.
shows. We've met so many different people out there just through hunting that it's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. And I love social media just with being able to have a pulse and a sense of this is what they're doing today. Like Shane is 1,000 miles away, yet Garrett is going out, well, I guess when this podcast drops, Garrett's back, but he did go out for 5 days and hunt with Shane with Logan, and hopefully they killed a bunch of coyotes. And
if I know Shane,
I bet they'll be killing a lot.
They're
going to
be killing
and
a lot.
Shane's got a thermal scope, so that should help out quite a bit too. So the connection piece, that's awesome. Gives a sense of community, and what I mean by that is I feel like it's strange, and every time I hear Cody say it, it takes me aback a little bit. And Cody just says, honestly, we don't have that many deer hunting friends that we work with, which is crazy to me given that the railroad, I mean, that's a pretty badass trade. Like, I feel like lots of people would hunt, but I guess not necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Cody has said, before that it's harder than you would think to find, friends that are really, really obsessed about hunting just like we are. So it gives people a sense of community. And I feel like when you can kind of find that niche and find that group of people, whether it is a Facebook group, which we'll get into in a little bit, or a podcast that you like, or a video producer that you like, or a photographer that you like, and you kind of settle in there, then I feel like it's kind of like a salt shaker, and other people will kind of pile into their hopper, and the ones that really like that person will kind of sift out and stick around. And I think that just leaves, the same kind of group of people at the end,
Right.
over time. And so I think that's a really good aspect. It gives a definite sense of community, and there's huge uplift,
Yeah.
our Facebook group. I don't even know how many harvest photos people dumped in there this year.
And it's great.
ton
I'm
of
glad
them.
they do.
Yeah.
Because that's what we want to see.
Yeah. So giving a sense of community, who do you think, I guess, in the outdoor world, industry, social media realm, who do you think provides the biggest sense of community in your opinion? Like an account, a person, etc.
Gosh, you're just dropping these on me. I don't know. I mean, Mike Lemansky. I know what you're going to say after I say this, but Mike Lemansky just went through his Instagram, I don't know, last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever this is going to air, and just congratulated a bunch of dudes on getting it done, and chicks and blah blah blah, and shouting people out and doing a lot of stuff like that. That's great. More people need to do that kind of stuff.
I was gonna actually put the Whitetail Legacy guys. I that is if there is a number one reason that I listen to the Whitetail Legacy podcast, other than Cody and Homie are, becoming very close friends of ours, it is the sense of community.
Yeah.
It's a sense of, if you're similar to them, they can do no wrong by you. They'd give you the shirt off their back if you asked, and it's just a very, I'm going to do this for you kind of relationship where they're just out there to help people. And I feel like that's probably a person-to-person basis, because there's definitely some people, and we're going to get into that in a little bit, that are definitely out there for themselves and, I don't know, social media, clout, whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like a true sense of community can be built around people that are just good people, and that's the end of it.
Yep.
And I feel like that would be my account that I would pick, would be the Whitetail Legacy podcast. You can share your passion with others. So we've talked about like sharing the entire group, but hunting is so fragmented. There's so many camps of hunters, right? You've got gun hunters, you've got bow hunters, you've got the crossbow guys, you've got the western guys, you've got the southeast guys, you've got the southwest guys, you've got the northeast guys, you've got the big woods guys, you've got the marsh guys, you got the public, you got the private, you got the mobile guys, you got the blind hunter guys, you've got the let's manage these whitetail guys, you've got the let's put miles on, public ground or permission pieces, and let's get it done that way kind of guys. And there's so many little camps.
And to be honest, most of them don't get along with each other.
Yeah, that's going to be that is one thing where I feel like
everybody's picking on everybody.
Yeah, and that's, I feel like, one downside. But what I was going to say was, if you find your niche and you find your little group of people, like I would consider our little group of people to be the bow hunter, gun hunter, managing small tracts of land group.
Yes.
That's kind of like our little path.
Yep.
And if you can find those people, then you can really gain some valuable information. Like, I really personally, over the last year and a half, ever since I found him, I've just been really interested in Jeff Sturgis's videos. So he caters to people like us in the kind of little land management. You don't own your piece of ground yet, but maybe you can make some habitat manipulations. Here are some things you need to think about when improving whitetail habitat. And his YouTube channel is called Whitetail Habitat Solutions. Again, his name is Jeff Sturgis. And if you find a niche like that, you can really learn a lot. I mean, in terms of, just the people that follow us and have watched our food plot game, it's been steadily improving, I feel, over the last 3 to 7 years, where, there was a couple of years there where your and Matt's plots were getting flooded.
Yes.
And Garrett and I's turnips weren't growing worth the shit. and we were trying to broadcast Little Seed on hard soil at the wrong time of the year, and it was a failure, and we ended up with a plot of dirt. But I feel like that game is steadily improving just because you get into your niche, you kind of find your path, you get on the tracks, and then you kind of gravitate towards that group of people that you're kind of trending towards. And I feel like that can be really beneficial. And like you said, it can be uplifting, but let's shift gears. Let's talk about the bad. What is, in your opinion, the number one worst thing about social media and how it impacts the hunting community?
Just people dragging each other down. I hate to see like just the negativity on the comments. If somebody posts a picture of an 8-pointer that's not very big, I don't know, 110 inches that, I wouldn't have shot and you wouldn't have shot, but just so many people just like, why'd you shoot that thing? You didn't need to shoot that thing, or you should have let him go another year. Like, you don't know their backstory. That could have been their biggest buck ever, or they might never be able to hunt that property again, so they wanted to take one last buck off of it.
Yeah.
So there's always or there's no backstory. Maybe they just wanted to kill the buck.
I like what you said about not knowing their backstory. I feel like this translates to traffic really well. And let me bring this back. I promise it's going to connect. If you're driving down the interstate or, a road, I try to keep this in the back of my mind. If there's somebody that flies up on me really quick and is trying vigorously to like get around me, like let's say it's a 55 mile an hour, like a county route or a county road, it's a back road, and somebody flies past you, or somebody rides your butt and they can't get around you, maybe because of oncoming traffic or something, and they fly around you, and they're acting, just kind of like, they got a bit of road rage or whatever. I feel like I always think like, man, you're an asshole. That's my gut reaction, like when somebody comes flying up on me like that, or somebody that's honking or something like that. But then I think to myself, all right, what are they in a hurry for? Did their water heater break this morning, and now they didn't get a chance to take a shower, so they had to wash their hair in a sink, and then now they're behind, and they're going to a job interview this afternoon or this evening or whatever, and they're running behind and they're pissed off because they want to get there and they're flustered, or maybe it's a woman that's having a baby that's rushing to the ER, or maybe it's somebody that's late for something really important that's got a time restriction on it. And I just try to keep that in the back of my mind, because you never really truly know where someone is coming from until a situation like that arises, and no one will ever truly know. Other than a very small amount of people. And I feel like that in itself is what bugs me about social media, is because I feel like it's such smoke and mirrors. And I feel like to a point, you have to take everything that you see on social media at face value. Meaning, if you see, I'll give you a good example. I was following a guy for about the last 3 years, posts a bunch of stuff about archery. He loves archery. Hardly anything there about his kids, his wife, etc. And then, recently, like within the last year or so, find out the dude's going through a divorce. So I don't know if that was preemptive or anything, but if you looked at this guy's Instagram, Facebook page at face value and you're like, man, this guy's got his life together. He kills big deer. Like, look at this guy go. He's a badass, like getting it done, doing this, doing that. And I feel like you don't really get a peek behind the glass curtain, if you will, into this guy's actual life and figure out that personally something in his life went wrong.
Yeah, most of the time.
Very wrong,
Most of the time you only see the positives of social media. There's a few out there that post everything, but majority of the time you're not going to see the negative.
Yeah, which is scary, especially if you're a person that's in a dark place.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a place that's not where you want to be and you feel like everything is going wrong, and then you see all these pictures come up and you're like, man, this guy I graduated high school with is doing this and doing that, and he's killing this deer. And, as it pertains to hunting, like everybody's killing a big buck, blah, blah, blah. You see all that and you feel the pressure and you can feel the compound effect kind of start to happen. And you put on this unnecessary pressure upon yourself just because it's perceived that all of this success and all these great things are happening in kind of a vortex around this one person that you're following, which is not necessarily the case.
Right.
So I kind of I was kind of thinking that it wasn't necessarily indicative of like everyday to day life. when you look at a person's social media, it's just kind of like the front door to their house. You don't know what's really going on
Right.
inside. And like I said, it definitely magnifies failure. Like in that moment where you have your moment during November, October, late season in December, maybe for us in Illinois, I guess January too, half of it, and you wound a deer, you blow the opportunity, you sit the wrong stand, you did everything right but one thing and you fail, that makes you feel even worse because you're like,
Everybody knows that I haven't killed I didn't kill a buck for 3 years. And it felt like on social media that everybody in America had killed a buck besides me. So the amount of pressure I was feeling, plus, we film, so we have to have content for our sponsors, for the show, blah, blah, blah.
mm-hmm.
You have no idea the amount of pressure that was relieved off me when I shot it. You would have thought that I killed the freaking world record deer because, I was so jacked. And it was not even a big buck. I mean, it was a mature deer. And I don't know if most of the people out there don't know my Instagram, which whatever, but I typed up, a lengthy thing on there saying, that, I was feeling torn on posting it because he wasn't, the norm of a big buck on Instagram.
Sure.
Because he wasn't. So I literally waited a few days before I posted it because I'm like, man, I don't want people to tear me down on this thing.
Yeah.
So,
And that's a shitty feeling to have, it's just, there are certain people, I guess I forgot to bring this up earlier. One of my big role models in our industry in the outdoor space is Jason Matzinger. I think that he does a phenomenal job at portraying hunting in a positive light. He does a ton of conservation work, second to none.
yes.
But he has put out quite a few films on anti-hunters and about anti-hunters taking hunting away, etc. And if there's one thing that I kind of slightly disagree with about him, about like the ideas that he's presented was, and this isn't derogative at all, it's just I think that the biggest threat to hunting is hunters themselves.
Yes.
When you go on to a forum and you see that routinely, and I mean routinely, it's happened this year in Illinois, it happened last year in Illinois, that somebody got shot during a gun season
every year.
by another hunter. It happens routinely every year, which is terrible, stupid, everything you could say about it. I think that the biggest threat to hunting and the hunting community is coming from within. I think if there was an analogy about hunting, I don't think it's like this large anti-army coming for us. Like we rarely get hate messages from PETA and all these other people that like. I think that the outdoor industry portrays PETA like the big bad wolf, and they are seeking to end hunting. I'm not saying that they're not. I'm not saying that they're an organization that's bad for hunters. It is, definitely. But the amount of messages that we personally get from people that are hating on us because we're hunting is way, 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 way less, which is sad, than the actual number of hunters that are hunting within the community.
Yeah.
Which is terrible to say. And I've got a couple theories as to why that is. But to get back on track, let's go to the next thing. There's 3 of these out here that I know of. And it's, how do I phrase this? A hate page probably isn't the right word. I think the spawn of a hate page, follow me down this rabbit hole. I think the spawn of a hate page, and there's 3 of them that I know of, are that people are just fed up with outdoor industry bullshit.
Trolls.
Trolling
page. Yeah.
Trolling page, yeah. So it's not necessarily like they hate hunting. That's not it. I think it's they hate the hunting industry and certain aspects of it. Giving you an example, a company in which I find it hilarious to be even in existence is a company called AccuBow. I'm not a big fan of the product. I think the idea is, I don't know. It's never a bad option, to get more practice with your bow. But if you're really in need of an AccuBow, why not just take your bow to the basement,
Yes,
take your target to the basement and shoot seated at 5 yards. Like, if you're hankering to practice, like, you don't need to get a big, I don't know, plastic Toys R Us toy.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And shoot, and practice shooting with, I don't know. It looks ridiculous. And I feel like the way that it's marketed, when they rolled AccuBow out, it was rolled out, I feel like, the wrong way. And it was rolled out with a bunch of really hot chicks. It was given to a bunch of these social media influencers that kind of gave a bad eye to the rest of the people that would want to buy the product. And now that company is fairly well made fun of, poked fun at, etc. Like I said, I don't have a huge problem with it. I just think it's kind of a funny product serving a weird niche.
Yes.
But these hate pages essentially have come around the back end of that and said, this is bullshit. Just because, this chick who doesn't hunt has 200,000 followers, you're going to give her this product all of a sudden, and now it's going to be okay, and now the outdoor industry is going to be like, oh my God, I'm blinded, this product is great.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they do shed light on that, and a lot of funny things on the hunting in the hunting industry. But I feel like that's only a small part. I feel like they're policing, but more so, they are ranting about the things that they hate.
Yes.
Which I don't feel like is good for the hunting industry.
Or the people they hate.
Yeah. And, there are bad apples in every group. I feel like the most noteworthy hate page that's out there right now is called Make Hunting Great Again. And, it seems to me like the guy fucking hates Sitka gear. He hates Mountain Ops. What else does he hate?
The Bomars and
he hates Josh
Cameron
and Sarah
Haynes.
Bomar. He hates Cameron Haynes.
He hates a lot of Western hunters.
Does he hate Dudley?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And it's not that we're hating on him. We're just saying that that's
No,
a guy.
That appears to be who he hates.
Yes.
If you look through his posts, that it's fairly obvious that those are the three things that are kind of brought up pretty frequently. And there are some funny things on there. Like let's go for Mountain Ops, right? Like, we work with Mountain Ops to a point in 2019, 2020. Now, I don't think his beef with Mountain Ops is the product. Like, I think the product and the idea of Mountain Ops as a company is, let's all be healthy. We will live a happier life. I do not think there's anything wrong or controversial with what I just said. I feel like if you're healthier, you're going to live a slightly better life. Like, it's better to be healthier than unhealthy. And that's what Mountain Ops is promoting, and conservation. They send a huge amount of money to conservation. But I feel that the reason that he hates Mountain Ops is not because of the product and what the company stands for. It is who markets the product, i.e. these really muscle-bound, swole dudes that are more so in the niche that's different than us. We talked about these niches, and you and I were kind of, with Garrett and Matt, we're in the small land management, let's kill a mature deer group, little track, private land hunting. Okay. But you have these Mountain Ops guys that are very in tune with mostly Western hunters. It seems to be the people that they work with, more so in tune with pushing their bodies to the limit in the gym and going and being their best self so that they can hike farther, get deeper, etc. on the mountain, so that they stand a better chance of, when the time comes, being ready physically. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think it's that persona of the douchey Western hunter guy that guy, the Make Hunting Great Again guy, hates. Yes. And I feel like that's why he goes at Mountain Ops, not because of the product. Now let's go to Sitka. So the guy also really, really hates Sitka gear. And I don't think it's because Sitka gear is bad. Sitka gear is probably fucking great.
Probably.
It should be. Idea. For $2,000. It should
great.
Be good. It
no
should be really good.
Yeah.
It should be all you would never need.
I think it's also Sitka gear, it targets, more so, high quality photography and, expensive. And I don't know a lot of people that wear Sitka because it's so expensive. And realistically, I don't even know, how well does it work out here? Well, I don't have any idea because I don't know anybody that wears it.
And I feel like Sitka hunters get Sitka gets bashed more so than anything in the whitetail woods because the large majority of hunters are gun hunters, and they'll go hunt for their, in our Illinois, it's a 3-week season and a 3-day season and a 4-day season, in which you can kill a buck with a shotgun, and then an additional muzzleloader season. And so a person going out there and sitting in their box blind that's been up there for the last 4 decades in their Carhartts, with their propane heater, doesn't see the value in Sitka gear. Why would they? They don't need to spend $2,000 on a pair of bibs. They don't need to do that.
$2,000.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like on the incinerator, I guess with shipping, it's not quite that much. But after tax and shipping, like if you buy that whole giddy up, it's a lot of money.
It's an investment.
It's an investment. Whereas a Western guy is like, Western guys don't spend money on food plot seeds. They don't spend money on a Kubota tractor. They don't spend
gear.
They don't spend money on tree stands. They don't spend money on, waders. Unless I guess they're a lowland guy going waterfowl hunting, but they're spending money on quality hunting gear, boots, camo,
glass,
optics. And so I feel like it gets a bad rap for that. But these hate pages, I feel like, are spawned in people being disgruntled that the hunting industry is presenting this fake front. And I will say that, like, in my opinion, there are certain things that in the hunting industry that I believe are fakely portrayed. I mean, personally, I follow a few photographers. I know that they've, don't kill anything, hardly ever.
Right.
I don't know why anyone would take their hunting advice ever. But given their social media, you would think that they were knocking it out of the park and they were killing big bucks left and right, which it's just, their family members. And to me, I feel like that's a false portrayal of that person being a really good whitetail hunter. Like, don't take advice from him. Take advice from a guy that's like Dan Infalt. Take advice from John Eberhart and Jeff Sturgis and Lee Lukoski and the Drurys. Like, they've killed shitloads of big deer. Take advice from them. Take advice from all these underground guys that are getting done, that are on podcasts. Take advice from them. Don't take advice necessarily from a person that just because they have a bunch of different pictures of deer on their social media, that's supposed to say that they're a good hunter. That's not what we're saying. So I feel like another bad thing about social media, getting back to it, is that fake portrayal of the industry, of the individual's hunting abilities. And I feel like it's very easy to do on social media.
Yes.
Very easy to portray that. Lots of the social media accounts, I think, in the outdoor industry are smoke and mirrors. And what do I mean by that? Lots of people trying to get into the industry. I feel like we were naive to it as well. When we started, we didn't realize that the majority of people have either A, another job, B, a successful past business venture, or C, is independently wealthy via some means in which we don't know, i.e. inheritance or something of the like, or they live in their parents' basement or something like that. So I know about 6 people that I could name drop. Out of respect, I'm not going to do that. But I know one particular outdoor production company that there are 2 kids, and seemingly on the outside of social media, you'd be like, wow, these guys are great. They're pretty funny. They cut up this really nice show, but in actuality, they live in their parents' basement at the age of 34, 35. Yeah, that's not a thing that I want to do.
No.
However, you would think to the outside world, man, those guys are killing it. They finally are doing it full time. No.
There is probably...
Not necessarily.
There's legitimately probably how many, like, I can maybe 5 people that successfully hunt for a living and are getting paid to do it.
Yeah,
like,
and we're talking
legitimately paid, not like living in a nice house, no job,
other than hunting,
and don't, they have a side gig, but it's something on the hunting end of like a media company or something. They're not living off, the government or their family.
Sure. Another guy, local guy, not really that local, is a host of an outdoor TV company show, etc. And you'd think by looking at social media, this dude's going down, he's going all over the Midwest, like banging deer left and right. Well, this guy is living on like disability in a little apartment somewhere. So it's not like he's living lavishly. Again, a false portrayal of the hunting industry and what it could provide. Another notable one, I think one of the biggest names in outdoor TV right now, they were very successful in their past business life, so they bought out, they sold their company, and now their hobby, their hobby is doing outdoor film and doing an outdoor show. Another one that I'm thinking of is a big hotel chain owner, and their show is essentially like a front. Like that's it. The outdoor industry is very difficult to make money in, and we've had a couple requests to talk about how to make money within it and examples of contracts, the amount of money in which you can make, and it's not very much. It's a very small industry, and I feel like lots of people don't realize this, but like ScentLock, for example, we used to work with them. That is a company based in Michigan, and there's about 7 people working at ScentLock.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, like,
like
great.
Jake Hofer, Exodus, perfect example.
3 people?
3 people working at Exodus Trail Cameras, and they are the biggest, hottest trail camera company coming up and making gains within the industry right now. There's 3 of them, right?
There's these massive companies that are, which you think would be massive because of their, social media outlets, the people they work with, and there's, 10 people that work for the company.
Yeah. And that's it. And I feel like that's another negative of social media. It's just such smoke and mirrors. One of the most noteworthy content creators I feel like was really trending in 2019 and 2020 that's, semi-local. You would think that this dude's life was incredible, but the amount of money, I guess, couldn't necessarily be, there is value in doing your passion and doing what you love. I'm not saying that there's not.
No, absolutely.
But lots of the things I feel like that are posted on his account are very, 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 very big smoke and mirror show. And I know that things that I've heard other people say and things that I've heard him say, because I follow him, are not true and not sustainable. I know what outdoor contracts look like. I've signed them. And I'm sorry, everybody, but nobody is Sitka's not paying any one single individual $50,000 to just wear their product and parade it around. Like things like what I just said don't exist. There are photographers that are paid by Sitka, and it is not that much. You know
what you would have to do for $50,000
from that brand? Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, just any brand.
An incredible amount. Maybe the Lakoskis, I know, from working with Summit and some people in there, the largest end contracts that I've ever heard of, from a sponsorship standpoint of a television show in the outdoor world, are between $60,000 and $80,000, and that's like the title head honcho sponsor of a show. And we're not just talking a show; we're talking about one of the biggest 5 shows in outdoor television currently. So a person that's got about 9,000 followers on social media that's saying that they're making $50,000 doing freelance work from Sitka and another 30 from this person and that person, I feel like you have to take all that with a grain of salt, and that person could be lying to you. The outdoor world, another negative, it's cyclical, right? It's like we're coming into shed season, and then we're coming into turkey season, and then we're coming into everybody let's plant food plots, and everybody's getting ready and shooting their bows over the summer, and everybody's sighting in their gun, and everybody's hanging their tree stands, and now everybody's got their fall food plots in, and they look great, and now we're getting deer on trail camera, and they're in velvet, and now we're back to they're shedding, and now we're going.
Yep.
And then it's that cycle that's year after year after year after year. And to generate sales, I feel like the outdoor world, the industry specifically, on social media is just so ad pushy. And all these all these companies that have 3 or 4 really good products, they feel the need to launch a new product all the time.
Yes.
Well, man, just in my opinion, as the consumer of those products or something like that, why not just make a very good core of products that everybody loves that's tried and true, rather than come out with some new gimmicky product every year just so you can say you launched a new product. I feel like the ATA show that's the thing that pisses me off the most about going down there. It's just like, okay, so what you did was essentially you paid to trademark a name. You trademarked a title or a name, not like a product, but like a title. Then you marketed that new thing that you did. And I feel like archery is that way big time, like bows. I feel like lots of products are like that. And in social media, it can just be like barf, you know, like you see all these ads from all these companies trying to sell you something. And
well, you see all those, you just see people out there in general, just big influencers, small influencers, whoever, whatever you want to call yourself. And if you don't do it their way, you're wrong, you know, and it's contradictory because, you know, I might look at one thing and then I might look at another and they're completely different. Is the outcome going to be the same? Probably. Which one would I rather do? You know, why is somebody doing it this way versus why is somebody doing it that way? Who's to say who's wrong? You know, like, I don't know. That's what drives me crazy is if you're not doing it my way, certain people think you're wrong.
Yeah.
And that's not right.
And I think that's the essence of why everybody in the hunting community probably hates each other via social media. It's the trad guys are like, the compound guys are pussies.
Yeah,
and the compound guys, the crossbow guys are pussies. And the crossbow guys are like, we're still not as bad as gun hunters. You know what I'm saying? And all these groups are just like trickle down effect hating one another. And the public land guys are like, I hunt harder than you. It's harder to do this on public land. And the private guys are like, just go get a piece of private. Just knock on some doors, man. And then, you know, it's never ending. And I feel like all these little cults, they attack each other. And that gets us to Facebook groups. So Facebook groups, big benefits of Facebook groups. It's such niche specific. I was talking to Homie about this. Would have been about a month and a half ago. Last time they were on talking about the bow hunting league.
Yeah.
Bow hunting league. Very cool. Very uplifting. Kind of like, you know, post your score. It's very like, it's a big community of a Facebook group, and that is a group of whitetail hunters that are really big on managing deer, killing deer, and scoring deer. It's not necessarily a thing.
Scoring deer.
I'm pretty sure bow hunting league is they score their
some
deer.
Some of that
right?
bow hunting league is
shooting.
Yeah, like shooting a target.
Shooting a target
at a certain range, and then you score from there, and it's added up over a whole year.
Yep. So that's what I believe it is in the summer, and then in the fall it's deer. It's like score of gross inches of deer, and you can get a certain amount of slots. I'm not really super familiar with how it works, but that's kind of the idea of the group. But the group seems to be, I'm a part of it. It's pretty uplifting. I didn't enter any deer in or whatever like that, but seems to be a really good group. But since groups are so specific and they can get so large, I mean, a group I feel can only grow so large until they start attracting people from the group that don't really want to be there in the first place for the right reasons necessarily, and then it'll get so large that it could tend to go off the rails. And because of the nature of a Facebook group and it being private, it can be really easy to tear people down in them. So I feel like that's a negative of Facebook group, but it also does a really good job of intimately connecting each other because of what Facebook groups do via the algorithm on Facebook, which is a lot of the reason behind marketing why Facebook groups start. The last kind of negative I have here on social media and the outdoors is the concept of like this faceless account, right? Like you scroll past a page, post, comment, whatever. You don't like it, so you spout off really without thinking about it or who it affects in a knee-jerk reaction. The teacher and me, are anti-bully month. Not to be all snowflakey as hell on the podcast or whatever, because I know Garrett's probably going to call me a snowflake or whatever, but that's all right. My main point is you never really know who's on the other end of the line there.
Right.
You don't know their circumstances.
Especially on YouTube. Like,
YouTube's the Wild West of shitty comments.
But you can, like, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, you could do some research. But, like, YouTube, Bowhunter 24/7 could be your neighbor that's being a douchebag to you, or
Yeah. Could be
So-
my 80-year-old neighbor lady
Right.
across the
You
street
have
that's
no
like,
idea
I
who
hate
they-
that guy that he backed into my rose bushes.
You
I'm
got
going to go cut him down
yeah.
and press the thumbs down button.
you got no idea, because that's what I don't know. That's what they've made it, I guess, and people know that, so they can troll harder. Like I feel like, well, I guess what I'm trying to say is like,
There's
I-
no
I f-
accountability and connection on YouTube.
I feel like but I feel like people that can get like if Bowhunter 24/7 out there on Instagram is gonna message me later, then I'm just using the name because it's first thing that popped in my head. But if that comes up on my thing, I'm gonna click on their profile and boom, it's John Smith. But if Bowhunter 24/7 comments something on YouTube, something douchebaggish, you have no idea who it is.
Yeah, it's a
can-
real sissy way.
Right? You could hide behind
Of-
the curtain.
Yeah, you can totally hide behind the curtain and throw your little shitty 2 cents in, whether it's, just out of pure jealousy, out of somebody's page or what they've built, or out of hatred, or out of smite, or whatever reason you have to cut them down. Maybe they did you wrong in a past life, which I guess retribution I'm okay with sometimes, but the concept of a faceless account, is essentially like, you shit it and leave, you say your 2 cents and you leave. And I feel like if people could just think about what they posted before they posted it, I feel like the outdoor industry would be a lot better. One of my favorite comedians is named Jim Jeffries, and he's an Australian fella, and he's got this bit on gun control. Not that I'm a pro gun control supporter or anything, but it's just kind of funny. He said if we could replace every gun with a musket, that there would be a lot less shootings, because you'd get time to think as you were like pulling out the gunpowder and pouring it down the barrel and getting the bullet out and tamping it in. And by the time you got the whole fucker loaded, because it takes so long, you'd be like, you're okay. I don't need to shoot you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think social media is kind of like that. I feel like if people like, all right, I want to say fuck yourself, but I'm gonna put my phone down.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go eat dinner, and I'm gonna come back. Okay, I don't need to say anything. And then you
that's-
go on. Then
that's
you
my-
roll on.
That's my whole thing. There's plenty of stuff that I hate to see on Instagram or whatever, or Facebook or Twitter or whatever, that I like, man, I don't like it, so I'm just gonna scroll right past it. There's no sense in like tearing somebody down. Just if you don't like it, just go right on.
Right before deer season, you made it a point to say, and I remember you saying it, that you were going to congratulate every single person on social media for their buck this year that you saw, and you did.
Not every. I feel there's a few people that I like left out or whatever, like on my Instagram stories, but I guarantee if I follow you or whatever, if I've seen that you've killed a buck, most likely I've liked the picture and commented congratulations, because like that there needs to be more of that. And I'm not saying that I'm trying to be a trendsetter out there. I'm just saying like maybe if somebody can see that I'm like doing that it'll get somebody else to go and
do the same thing.
do the
Man,
same
I should
thing.
do that.
Yeah, like why tear each other down? Like congratulate them. Good job. Congratulations, you shot a buck, or you shot a doe. Like I congratulated several people on just a doe kill.
Mm-hmm.
Or, doesn't have to be deer, turkey, whatever.
Yep. I feel like at the end of the day, there's 2 ways that a scenario can play out on social media. If you dislike something, right? If a person scrolls by something they dislike, they could either just scroll by it and they are the only ones that affects. They dislike it still,
Mhm.
but that's the end of it. Or they could ruin the other person's day, and now 2 people feel like shit.
Right.
So be mature, scroll by, just go on. Who
Not
gives a
hard.
fuck?
Gives no effort.
And that's kind of our last negative, is the echo chamber effect. And I feel like Facebook is really good. And Facebook is a manipulative app. And lots of people are, I feel like that's why Parler got so hot, other than the censorship of speech recently, that Facebook, people are just sick and freaking tired of Facebook censoring what they see and kind of pigeonholing them into this certain, type of posts. Like when I scroll on Facebook, I see one of like 2 types of posts. And it's because Facebook knows when I go on there, the types of things that I look at.
Yeah. your Google, that somehow
You know what I
they're
mean?
linked into your Google search or
Yep,
something.
they're linked into your cookies. Like
Yeah,
when you
right.
enable your cookies on a
Exactly. That's what
website,
I meant, but
your cookies, your Google search,
they all
and
talk to each other.
your history, they all communicate to one another. And so you really never get out of your own echo chamber.
Nope.
So a person that's like staunchly, of one side of a political party or another is never going to hear the other person's side ever. They'll never hear it, unless it's something really bad that fans of theirs who also hate that person want you to see. So and on social media, if you're a person that likes big bucks and everything about big deer, big score, high score, 200, 190, 180, and all these keywords that you're Googling and typing in and you're searching for on YouTube, and all these things, they compound, and then that's makes up the majority of the stuff that you see on Facebook, because let's not forget, Facebook is most importantly the third word. It's a social media app. Big emphasis on app, and the app is designed to keep you in social media for as long as possible, because that's how Facebook makes money on ads. The more ads that are sold on Facebook, the more time you're on there, the more ads you'll see, the more money Facebook can make. So Facebook's trying to keep you engaged. So if it can show you big deer and keep you on there, it's going to do that. But by default, if that's all you see and you're having a shitty season, that goes back to what we're talking about. You're like,
Pisses
man,
you
I
off.
really feel like shit
Like,
now.
I'm
Look
the-
at all these big
my
old
God.
deer that are getting killed.
God, I'm the only person out there that hasn't killed a freaking deer this year.
So that kind of goes over the pros and cons of social media and hunting. Would you rather time? Are you ready?
Go for it.
All right, number one. Would you rather shoot a turkey with a triple beard or 3 coyotes on the same sit?
Triple bearded turkey.
Why?
I don't know.
Just would rather, huh?
Yeah, I like turkeys. I mean, not that I say I don't like coyotes, but and a triple on a coyote would be freaking sweet. But
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a multi-bearded turkey.
Okay, fair enough. Number two. Would you rather eat turkey and flathead, so that's kind of the package deal there, or deer all year? You can either eat deer or turkey/flathead.
Turkey/flathead, because I can mix it up. I don't eat. It
a couple different
doesn't
things.
get monotonous.
That's fair. Would you rather eat deer your favorite way to prepare it for every single meal all year long, or a different way to prepare it each time? So what's your favorite way to eat deer? I should ask that first.
Probably. I don't know. I'm a big fan of deer steaks.
Okay, so would you rather eat deer steaks for every single meal, or
I'd have
You
to prepare
change
it.
it.
I'd have to change it.
change it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't get monotonous.
Yep.
All right. Would you rather have standing corn or standing beans for late season?
Standing beans.
That's what I would pick too. Okay, shoot or pass, our new segment in the shoot or pass seat. Number one, a turkey with no beard comes strutting up to you, but he's got great spurs. Shoot or pass?
Pass.
Okay, a coyote with mange. Shoot or pass?
Shoot.
A turkey with no spears.
No spurs.
Sorry. No spurs, but a very long beard. Shoot or pass?
Shoot.
Shoot. Okay.
I take my first one back. I'd probably shoot it. I have no there's no reservation on turkeys. If that thing's got a full fan, I am shooting.
Yep, me too. That's the way I feel about turkeys as well.
I'm not out there. We do on whitetails, because we want to try to shoot mature ones. If the turkey's got a full fan, I don't care if it's a 2-year-old or a 27-year-old.
Yep.
I'm gonna shoot it.
Yep.
How do you even age a turkey? Some people say spurs.
Some people could say your spurs,
But
number of beards,
I don't look
weight.
that. I don't look that close.
I don't either.
I'm just if it's full fan coming in,
Full fan, he dies.
it's getting 5s.
Yes. That kind of rounds us out to the end of this episode. Thank you again for hanging in there with us. But some announcements to leave you with before we hop off here. Friday, July 23rd, that's our launch party. The Adler Theater, Davenport, Iowa. We booked it. Be there, be square. Free beer, free gear, free deer show, free film, free admission. Pretty cool night. Lots of really good sponsors hopping in on that. We will be announcing that soon. Keep an eye out for the next Last Breath Live. We're going to be pounding more coyotes. Those will be dropping on Wednesdays on our YouTube channel. So if you want to see the coyotes that we killed over the past week, hit us up on YouTube on Wednesday at 7 p.m. If you haven't yet, hop in our Facebook group, The Last Breath Inner Circle. We promise, relative to our conversation
it's
here.
Positive. I mean, there's several
very
people that have messaged us, text me personally saying, it's one of their favorite groups because it's so positive.
Yep. So if you'd like to join a group of people that love hunting and are positive and don't do any bashing and bullshit like that, then hop in our group. It's called, again, The Last Breath Inner Circle.
Get on in there.
Yeah. And that's kind of like a behind-the-scenes look at what we do and what we're doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So thank you again for listening to the Last Breath Huntcast. This was a really fun controversy to cover. We will see you next Monday at 6 a.m. Jesse, do you have anything else?
I don't. Unfortunately, deer season's over. I've got bucks daylighting, but I'll have to wait until they drop their sheds to go find them.
That's it. You heard it here first. Don't waste it. Thanks for listening, everybody.